Alex Hormozi, Russell Brunson, and Iman Gadzhi all killed their VSL funnels for something that's working way better. And in today's video, I'm going to jump into exactly what that's looking like and why VSLs in 2026 are dead and what you should be using instead. So what they did is they've typically used kind of the more traditional VSL funnels, but as of 2026, they've made a recent change to all pushing their traffic towards quiz funnels, which is exactly what I'm going to break down in today's video. And if we look first at kind of some of the things that have changed as far as this year's gone and where we're seeing, right? AI is doing your targeting in terms of the ads. 2, ad costs keep rising, like it's not getting cheaper to run ads. And 3, the digital online industry has matured tremendously. So the process of selling one to many and just pushing people through a generic funnel isn't working the way it used to, because number 4, the trust is at an all-time low, which means you have to be more consultative in terms of the selling, as opposed to be trying to push one-size-fits-all selling and really just funnel everyone down the same track. And to really put the nail on the coffin in terms of VSL funnels and how they work, the free money era, where it was flowing loosely in 2021, 2022, 23, is completely dead, right? So the big thing we need to look at is, what are people doing about this process, right? And we see in terms of the info space, like I mentioned, Iman Gadzhi, we have Russell Brunson, we have Alex Hormozi, we have Ali Abdal. All of these people are turning towards quiz funnels. Iman Gadzhi, he made a video specifically speaking about how his Instagram quiz funnel was crushing it compared to anything else. Russell Brunson is talking about how he's using personality traits in videos to see exactly how he should position the funnel copy on the sales pages. We have Alex Hormozi. The only thing he's been promoting pretty much this whole year since his $100 million event was his scaling roadmap, which is a quiz funnel in disguise. We have Ali Abdal. He was running his quiz funnel specifically for his YouTube offer, but now that he's pivoting towards more of like helping people create a lifestyle business, he's also, one of the first things he did was build out the quiz in order to now be able to funnel people into that and sell to them differently. And you might be thinking, okay, what if I'm not in info or coaching or kind of the agency space, right? Well, in e-commerce, we see this too. We have TriSpartan here is just one of the many, many, many examples of big companies that are doing a tremendous amount of volume in terms of ads. And we see them all pushing to a quiz, which again is learning more about the prospect. It's kind of feeling a little bit more consultative in the sales process before they try to push them to a sales page. And that way too, when you're selling this way, you can now sell it a lot more customized and individualized, because it's like, hey, based on what I know about you, I'm now going to sell this specific thing because it's recommended for you. It's more of like a personalized and unique shopping experience, as opposed to just be clicking on an ad and then going straight to the landing page. And beyond that, even SaaS, Better Me is a big example of this. They're running 570 ads right now, and they are pushing people to the quiz, which is kind of learning about them in terms of like, what's your weight loss, whole bunch of questions that they go through, prospecting, finding the pain points, finding the needs, and then ultimately pushing them to a, you guessed it, personalized kind of roadmap and plan. Now, the thing is, where a lot of people confuse this is that they see a quiz that works in one industry versus a different one. And the most important thing you can do is figure out exactly what type of quiz you should be using for your specific niche and your specific offer, because it all depends: low ticket, high ticket, e-com versus SaaS versus info versus agency. So if you're curious about how to implement a quiz and you want to learn a little bit more about what would be the right quiz for your specific offer or your specific niche, I've created a quiz that speaks exactly up to what type of quiz you should be implementing into your business in order to maximize that for your lead gen and sales process. So if you're interested in learning exactly what quiz is best for your offer in your business, click the first link in the description to take the quiz, and you'll see exactly what makes sense for your specific business. So now, obviously, a lot of these people are using it. We're seeing it across industries. We're seeing it across different things. But let's take a look at exactly kind of how the quiz works, which is one of the things I want to break down. So what we have is you have either it's organic traffic or it's paid traffic. You push them to the page initially, where you then, as soon as they click on the squeeze page, the quiz pops up, right? They go through the quiz. At the end of the quiz, you're now capturing typically their email, depending on what industries, maybe you capture their phone number and some of these details about them. And then you tally up their results and you push them to different results pages. So I always recommend 3, if not 4 different outcomes as far as the structure of what it is. Whether for some people, it might be different offers you're selling, whether it's like a done for you, done with you, or do it yourself. It could be different products depending on it, or you're just changing the sales point in terms of the pain points that you're mentioning to have specific column like tracks of pain points that people are struggling with. So that's where the key is you take everyone in to the funnel at the top for the quiz. You push them, you learn about them in terms of the quiz and the consultative questions. Then you now have different sales pages where you're individualizing the copy and the sales structure of how you're speaking to the prospect in order to buy that same thing, which then once they go through that, you have upsells and then obviously checkouts or kind of any variations on the back end. And the way I typically structure this is there's 3 types of quizzes, right? You have a type quiz, which is more built around archetypes, right? What type of hair product is right for you? What type of skin care do you have? What type of agency service is right for you, or kind of whatever the thing is. Then the second one is a mistakes quiz, which really just pinpoints the pain points of what's the biggest mistake holding you back? What are you struggling with? And what are you trying to figure out? Because that's where you can really hit different pain points and different urgencies, which could be used in the sales copy. And then last one, the third option is a score quiz, which score quiz essentially is just giving somebody a proficiency score in terms of how it is, of like, what's your website readiness score, or like, what's your load speed score, right? Where you're really just learning more about their website and you're learning about them, and they're being ranked from like 100 being amazing to 0 being like horrible and they need a tremendous amount of help. So I know what a lot of people could be thinking is like, well, what if my product is only one product, right? Or what if I have multiple products? Well, there's kind of 2 different ways quiz funnels work. Is one, if you have one product, it works perfectly fine, because what you can hit is you can sell pain point A, B, or C. So like, say pain point A is price, they're price sensitive. Well, then it's like, well, okay, cool, this works because our price and kind of this. 2 could be that they want speed and urgency, or like that's their biggest priority. Or 3 or C could be that they're most interested in quality. So like, depending on what the prospect is asking, it is doing, you're targeting that specific capacity, right? And with multiple products, it's easier because it's more so you could do the qualifications essentially based on like budget or timeline, and then you can push them to product A, which could be a do-it-yourself product, like a lower ticket. B could be a mid-tier, done with you kind of cohort style, and then C could be like a full done for you service. And that way you're siphoning them off depending on what help they need in order to do that specific component. So the thing about a quiz is really interesting, because back in the day, people used to sell in a personalized consultative manner. You go to the grocery store, Johnny knows your family and this, that, and the other, and it's like very familiar, because it's like, hey, I need help with this. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I don't want. Here's what I do want. And then based on those recommendations, the representative is going to help you, right? And help you find the right product. So ironically, we're going full circle, because it used to be localized and personalized shopping experiences. Then online retail commerce came, and it's just blown up, because now you can sell online, you can sell agency and services around the world. It doesn't matter where you are, who you're selling to. But the thing that the disconnect there is that now people aren't as, like, it's a lot more one size fits all. The typical funnels where you just blast the same message, hope that it's accurate enough to target most of the people, and then you get your 3 to 5% conversion rate and you're super happy, and that's kind of the way it is. But with quiz funnels, we're now going full circle in the sense of it's a consultative way of selling at scale online. Then based on the responses you get from your from the people going through the funnel, you now optimize and sell the way, like, you sell to them differently depending on how they've answered, utilizing AI and the segmentation. So there's a lot of benefits around this. And if we're looking at like why these funnels typically work so well, Number one, it's very engaging and inviting versus static and one-sided like typical surveys. Where there's another benefit of this is it's a very low commitment in terms of, hey, go take this quiz, versus it being, hey, go buy this product or schedule this consultation. So it's more indirect and it's inviting in terms of the process there. Two, with surveys, it's like, hey, fill out this survey to see if you qualify, and if you don't, then you're screwed, like get lost, right? But with a quiz, you're promising the person taking the quiz a result, right? So there's something in it for them, which invites curiosity. It invites the aspect of self-discovery. And like, I mean, if you're watching this, I'm sure you've seen the BuzzFeed quizzes back in the day, like, what prince are you, or what's the right city for you to live in? It's like, dude, I don't care, but I'm curious because I want to get the result, right? So that promise is a huge thing in terms of your marketing, and you're pushing the quiz on the front end, which means that you need to fulfill on this promise. And then from there, you bring them into your solution in terms of how you can help them beyond there, right? Number three, one size fits all sales messages versus customized copy. Obviously, the secret to copy is just clarity in terms of the more specific you can speak to your prospects, the better off. And what this does is it really allows you to put like your main avatar into smaller subsection buckets and speak to them even more specifically in terms of what you know they value, so that it's no longer a broader one size fits all kind of generic type of copy where you might hit some, you might not hit some, right? Number four, you're really leveraging psychology and micro commitments, which means every time they go through the quiz, you're adding a little bit more friction. So you're not getting as many tire kickers or as many people that aren't as interested. And as they start going through this quiz, they want to complete it because they want to be consistent with their actions. And they have what's called the sunk cost fallacy of now thinking, I've gone this far, I need to make sure that I can I get the result or go through this process fully. So it really takes advantage of the psychology of also highlighting their pain points, what they're struggling with, and really getting a breakdown of what that looks like, which is where it's really genius. And number number five, which I briefly touched on, is the indirect versus direct aspect. When you sell people directly, they have a much higher like their guard is a lot higher up compared to something that's indirect, where it's like you kind of ease your way into it. And that's one of the beauties with the quiz funnel, because it's like you're not talking about your product, you're not talking about your service, you're inviting them to learn something about themselves. And through this process, it's like you're taking the prospect's hand, you're walking them through the process, and at the end they're going to look at it and be like, okay, you've revealed something about myself, you've helped me understand more about myself, and you've positioned your product or service as the right solution in a way where it's been inviting and it's not been as aggressive of trying to push it onto them directly, right? Number six is you capture data. Everyone talks about how data is the new oil and it's like this big thing, but in reality, when you're running, say you're running e-com or you're running like typical lead gen stuff, all you're capturing is like their name, maybe their phone number, and their email, right? You don't understand anything more about them. But with this, you're getting a tremendous amount of information about the prospect, of what they're struggling with, what their price point is, what their timeline is, and any other information you want to add in the quiz. So you can really use this information with the specific customer journeys to increase your conversion rates and really tailor the process on a one-to-one basis, as opposed to it just being a generic welcome flow and kind of taking everyone through the process, right? And the other part of this, which is 7, which basically talks about like segmentation and personalization and how that is the future. I mean, all big businesses are now moving towards, in terms of being more efficient with their ad dollars, getting more conversions out of their email lists, and really building the personalized and segmented customer journey in order to increase LTV, decrease churn, increase revenue, increase profit, and just make it more specific to the customers that go through the process, right? And then 8, obviously, in this process, you're also building your list of emails, which can help you offset ad spend. You're getting more out of the prospects and the leads, even if they don't buy or qualify right off the bat, because now you have their email, you can be retargeting them, and you can be following up with them to be top of mind consistently until they're ready to buy, right? Number 9, obviously leads also self-identify pain points, where it's like you're now they're walking through this process, and you can help them reveal the problem that they're having, and you can agitate it more as they go through this quiz in order to do a lot of the pre-selling ahead of time before they even see your product, because that way you're heightening their whether it's the discrepancy of where they are to where they want to go, what they're trying to learn, what they're missing. You can really emphasize this and push towards helping them in that process once they get to the sales page and complete this, right? And the biggest part that I think is just at the end of the day, the consultative selling versus pushy selling. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of data in terms of how pushy sales, or just kind of like jab, like punch, trying to get to them, it doesn't work, or you churn people, or you have higher refunds because they're more uncertain, versus a consultative selling of like, where it's like, hey John, how can I help you? Okay, cool, you're looking for shoes, got it. Any specific colors? What are you going to use these shoes for? You're getting a way better understanding of the prospect, of what their actual needs are, so that you can then sell those on the back end in an easier process, in a more fluid process, to ultimately be able to maximize the conversion that they're buying, and also help a lot of that pre-selling early. And this is why we're seeing people like Iman Gadzhi, Alex Hormozi, and Russell Brunson all kill their VSLs in 2026 and move on to quiz funnels, which is going to be the next big meta as we move into this year, and as segmentation and personalization becomes that much more important. Now, knowing how a quiz funnel works from like a big picture structure is just the first step, because depending on your niche, depending on your offer, depending on your industry, it's all very different in terms of how you structure the quizzes. So if you're interested in implementing a quiz into your business, what I have is a quiz that'll help you identify exactly how to position it for your specific industry and your specific offer. See the first link in description to take that. And if you want to see exactly how Alex Hormozi has structured his $100 million roadmap in order to leverage and get a better understanding of how these kind of quiz funnels work on a specific funnel to funnel level, then click the video right here.